The Food and Drug Administration is not as biased as it used to be in 2014 as it is in 2015. So, last month an advisory panel in the Department of Health and Human Services voted to recommend the lifting of a ban on blood donations by gay and bisexuals that dates back all the way to the early 80s. The decision paves the way for the FDA to end the ban, which it did not too long ago. In a statement, basically, it said that they're lifting the ban on gay donors. Now, here's the rub. Now, you gotta know there is a rub. So, the new policy does not require homosexual bloods to be celibate. So now you have to be celibate for a year, right? So if you happen to be LGBT, you have to be celibate for a year, and after you're celibate for a year, you then can give blood. So it's one step forward. Clearly, we already know that, you know, all the blood that is put into the system is tested, right? It's tested for diseases and all that other stuff. And so, I mean, the reason why they put this law into place in the 80s, or this rule into place in the 80s, is because of the spread of HIV/AIDS. But now that we know that HIV/AIDS is not a death sentence, and now we also know that, you know, there's tests that detect if there is HIV/AIDS, you know, it's a step in the right direction. So, you know, here's the truth, right? The AP reported the government figures show that gay and bisexual men represent about 2% of the U.S. population, but account for 62% of all new HIV/AIDS cases in the United States, which is a lot lower than it used to be. And a lot of others there's inconsistencies in this data, and we can go and talk about the inconsistencies of how they count this data all we want to, and we can do that on another show. But a great example of what's wrong with the inconsistencies in data is every time you go to prison, every time somebody's locked up in a lot of parts of the country, you're given an HIV/AIDS test. But if you get locked up more than one time, or you get locked up 3 times or 4 times, every time you go in, you're being tested for HIV, and you're being added as HIV positive to the system. So there's a lot of double counting that happens, which shows the numbers aren't necessarily as accurate as they should be. But who's counting, right? Who's judging? I'm just talking about the facts, America. And we'll continue to talk about the facts on the Fowler Show in the 2015, but this is a step in the right direction. We give the FDA 1 thumb, not 2, because, you know, anybody should be allowed to give blood as long as your blood is clean and you're healthy and the blood is safe. That's what we believe here at the Fowler Show. Right? Don't we?